Doma Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, everybody be safe out there. It's real. Okay, I'm just saying, it keeps you under the weather. And I can give y'all about 5 minutes and I got to go lay back down. Okay? Unfortunately, I like to do a Formula One video. It was a nice race in Italy. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, it was a real good race. It was raining, so a lot of things went on. Max Verstappen won the race. I know nobody here, we're talking about boxing, they don't care, but I would like the people that also know that I do those Formula One videos. I haven't, it's 2 races and I haven't really even done one. Don't worry, I will get on that. But right now, Max won that. Lewis Hamilton actually was out, it seemed like, but he put that car running into the sand, and normally if you put those tires, you start trying to get out of there, then they're just gonna dig in. But he was smart enough to reverse it, came down from, I forgot how far he was down after that, and then came back and went back to second place. So him and Max Verstappen, got 43 and 44 points respectively. It's gonna be a good year in Formula One. But let's get to my point. My point is Tyson Fury, WBC champ Tyson Fury, according to the Daily Star, is training for his Anthony Joshua big showdown clash that everybody, is anticipating, because the fight has been signed. They want to fight each other since last June. They've basically, agreed upon it, it's signed, but we still don't have a venue and a date. Some people were happy that they said it could be Saudi Arabia, so people were happy. But we don't know that either. We don't know the date. And most people are acting as if there is not litigations going on with Deontay Wilder. No one is saying that Tyson Fury should just simply agree to his contract with Deontay Wilder to have the 3rd fight, because that's what this is all about, right? And so it's really ridiculous. And watching people ignore that fact is very, very hard, especially if you're a black American. It's like it's hard to watch somebody ignore the fact that this one guy is just continuously doing things that are not right and not paying for it. It's like having a kid that you never tell no, that you never teach anything, and they're gonna become spoiled, right? So this guy is just, he doesn't have to pay for any of his actions. It's like, hey, I breached my contract with Deontay Wilder the first time. No one said anything. They just, as long as you mention Deontay Wilder, they hate him so much that no one cares that he's abiding by the rules. But I'm not. I did it again after the fight. I'm just not going to do what my contract says. I'm going to go fight Anthony Joshua, and we're going to wait until that happens. We're not fighting him, and no one is saying that. So it's really hard to watch certain people because you lose respect for them. Because it's like, listen, there's rules of law that we're ignoring. But I don't want to get into it too much because it's ridiculous at this point. But Tyson Fury, right, we do know, regardless if you want to acknowledge or not, has a lot of transgressions, right? From John McDermott, the gloves with John McDermott, to the gloves in sparring. Nicholas Asbury was telling people about that in sparring, the gloves, taking some of the horsehair out and maybe egg weights in sparring, being doped with cocaine, being doped with nandrolone, saying that it was wild boar. You have a 70-year-old guy, farmer, Martin Carefoot, who said he didn't give him the wild boar. Martin Carefoot, people start coming to his home, right? Those kind of things. And then you also have the fact that, he's dealing with a mob boss who actually is the one who brought this Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight over the line, because Tyson Fury said, hey, thanked him. His boy Billy Joe Saunders also said this guy should be the Prime Minister of England. So there's no, this is a guy who is an alleged mob boss, also from one of the tabloids there in England. So there's a lot of stuff where you'll be like, normally, listen, man, I ain't doing nothing else wrong. Right? At some point, because I've gotten away with some stuff. I'm a chill on that. But if nothing ever happens, there's never any repercussions, then you won't do it. Canelo Alvarez is similar. Just not all this illegal stuff, but Canelo Alvarez was dope twice, and we've just raised the levels. I ain't gonna have to fight this guy. They give me a franchise title for not fighting this guy. And not only did I not fight these guys, I will be ranked #1 pound for pound and above the guys that we know that they're not gonna fight. So the guys are just spoiled. That's what happens, right? There's no repercussions for your actions. I don't know why we're doing that in a society that we consider ourselves humans. It's absolutely ridiculous at this point. But here it goes. Here's some Tyson Fury news. Tyson Fury is training right now with a convicted felon, right? Guy who was supposed to go to jail for 7 years for manslaughter. He was a boxer, and he's his name is Ty Mitchell, and he knocked somebody fatally, killed somebody, knocking them the hell out. Boxers, those are weapons at the point. You've learned your trade, and so you have to also have, this kind of patience, demeanor. Have to know how to act. You can't just be exploding out there with people that are just talking smack on, get some alcohol in them and want to challenge you. You have to be, the better man at that point because you have those type of skills. That skill set can be deadly if the other person is not on your level. So this has happened to the guy. Now we do know that, he's a young guy at the time, maybe 19 or 20. Things like that can happen, right? But it's more about Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury would say, like, listen, dude, I might help you get some sparring somewhere else, but don't tell nobody it was me because I have my own issues. But there's none of that with Tyson Fury. It's like, so I'm training with this because nothing ever happens. So I'll put the article in the description box. Yeah, he's training with a guy that's convicted felon. Now remember, the Daily Star is something you got to be careful because there's somebody there that's saying, we don't care that he's English, he's British. Daily Star is the same people who want people to boycott the Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight because it's like if there's any affiliation with this Daniel Kinahan guy, the alleged mob boss, they want it to be boycotted. That's another issue that I've talked about before. Now that's a huge issue. Think about it. The people they're asking British to boycott that fight for that reason. So that once you have that kind of stuff, normally you'd be like, well, listen, man, I definitely ain't letting no damn convicted felon in my training camp. But that's not happening. Now ask yourself, especially if you're of color, would you even think of doing something like that? You probably wouldn't. And from my point is, we're creating a monster if we're not holding him accountable for his actions. Everybody in their haste to just hate on this Deontay Wilder skinny, not able to fight guy, right? So, that we're just saying forget the rule of law. And at some point you have to make a decision. What's more important? Yeah, you can hate that guy, but the rule of law is what makes us a civilization, right? With making sure that you understand civil is at the beginning of that. And that's where we're not going. That's why I'm just, yeah, you don't like this person or like that person or that boxer or that athlete. But at some point, the rule of law is more important than every other thing we're talking about. That's the point here. There's no way in the world Tyson Fury should have somebody convicted felon. Not now. If all those other things didn't happen, no problem. But a convicted felon in your training camp right now, after all those stuffs, is letting you know that he hasn't learned. And that's your fault. Doma Sports Talk, worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all. Y'all be careful out there.